Thanks. Okay.
Do you want to start with my questions? Okay.
Sure.
So the first question was, so you have the, what's it called? Categorized column instead of scatter plot is one option, which is how you make that circle, right? Is there a way to make, to change the height on that circle?
Yeah, so yes. Do you have something on screen or should I build an example?
I can change mine into one right now. Let me share my screen. So I'm just going to change this into categorized columns. Will it change? Oh, and then spike motif. And
looks like it's
there we go.
Spread out. Oh, sweet. Okay, zoom in on that a little bit so we can see what you've got there. So you wanted to change the height of these columns because there's not very many dots per, and it looks like it's wrapping multiple times too.
Yeah, it's wrapping around, but
text on top of text. So basically this is not based on XYZ points. Instead, this is based on the distance is the number of dots per column and the size of those dots and the distances between the dots. Does that make sense? So it actually looks like you're probably, so for example, I think to start out with, you might want to make the dots bigger so we can kind of get a sense of what we're looking at. And that'll be down in sizes fixed. Let me make my screen bigger. Maybe that'll help. Okay. And then set the, you've got it set to do 5 points per column, but it doesn't look like you have that many points in each one of these. Oh, hold on.
5 points per column. What does points per column mean here?
So it means it'll do 5 points in a row before it starts the next row up. We're basically building boxes out of this. My first guess is it looks like you only have 1 dot per category, which means that your categorization is going to be a little strange.
So yes, I mean, what I basically want to do is to just have all of these dots in a circle with a certain height, like basically a plot, but that's a circle because the x-axis is meaningless. Basically, the x-axis is categorical.
Okay.
And then to sort those into a meaningful category as well. I guess I can change this so it's actually meaningful. The problem is that the height here. Oh God, I'm very bad at moving right now. It's like the problem is each of these dots has a value associated with it that I could make into the dot size. What I really would rather do is have that be the dot height.
Okay. What I would do here is first question, is this particular perspective on this data, will you have this go across all of the steps or just on this one step? Because we're going to make a change that is no longer, it's going to radically change this particular swarm in a way that it has to go across all perspectives.
Oh, interesting. I mean, let's do it. Sure.
Okay. So up at the top of the swarm, the first thing that says create points using point per row. And I think what you want to do is point per value. And what that's going to do is it's going to take the value in a particular cell, which you're going to pick right now, column for point value, and it's going to create a number of dots based on the value that's in that cell. So when you see it, it will make sense. So if you'll pick that, and now each single item in your, if you have a 1 in your cell, it'll have a single dot. If you have a 10 in your cell, it'll have 10 dots, and build it that way. It looks like we actually edited the wrong swarm because I see up in your upper left-hand corner, I actually see the result we were looking for. So why don't you drag your scene just for a moment so we can see what's, zoom back a little. And now you can see it's building out a column chart.
Oh, that was already there.
Oh, it was? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I take it back. I was confused. It's just the way your data is structured. Got it.
Yeah, that's weird. Don't look at that.
Okay, so do you have How many, it looks like there's about, the values in here are about 20 on the max. Is that correct for your motive class thumb?
I mean, we can look at it.
Yep.
Well, they're proportions. So it would be this row. So it's sorry, this column is
the one you'd like to look at?
Yeah.
Okay. Then is that the one that we had selected in the columns next to?
No, I switched it.
Actually,
it's
the columns per point value up above. So this is fun. We might be getting a little distracted for the whole team, but let's do a couple more clicks here and then we can
okay.
We can back to this. So we're underneath create points using point per value.
Mm-hmm.
There's a column for point value. So
yes.
is that the column that you had selected?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of those values are, 1 or less. So you can increase each point equals. You can have it be like, put a multiplier of 10. And the spike, the category column.
That.
Okay. Okay. Something is a little bit.
I think it was just the other way around. Yeah.
That's correct. You are correct. Okay.
There we go.
Right. So that's starting to be more what you're looking for.
Yes. Okay, cool. I can play around with that. That answers my question though.
Super.
Interesting.
Okay.
Okay.
Since you got the first go here, let's switch. David or Joe, do you want to, so we start to build this data set?
Feel free. I do have a data set this round, so I'm good to go. Joe, I remember you actually were more prepared last time than I was. So
and I'll set this one out. Go ahead, David.
You know what? I don't have the data set that Michael was just using. Let me think about where he didn't share that with us. And my internet just glitched. Okay.
And that's entirely fine. So this is what I currently have built. There isn't a whole lot there. So just to give you a reference point for what I'm doing, I usually work in Pandas.
Mm-hmm.
And this is supposed to be a surface plot. It's a bad one. Just to give you a quick rundown of what the information is. So along this x-axis, I have individual features. Along the y-axis, I have age, and it's normalized. So just think of it as like how many lifespans you're looking at there. Don't really worry about it that much. And then my z-axis here is the value of this x feature. So
got it.
What I would like to be able to do is take this, animate this in such a way, slide by slide, so that as age changes, I can see how these individual values change. That's the idea. Now, to do that in Pandas, what I would have to do is take this ages parameter, and instead of assigning it to a surface graph, I would have to attach it to a what is it called? A scatter plot, and I would have to make the ages list an animation frame. That's what it's called. And then more specifically, so right now this value is continuous. So these go from 0.019228 to some other decimal. For Pandas, I have to make all of those discrete, and which is even more difficult because these ages are split between like 30.5 years and like 42.8 years. So I would have to munge my data a little bit more. But the exact same data is over here. So to start with, what I'm struggling with.
And what I like to do is just click the upload view button so I can see the data set a little bit.
Right. And sure, we'll get there. So the upload view.
It's pretty close to where your mouse was. It's right underneath the data source selector.
There we go.
And now I can just see how you've got it set up. Okay, so you've got.
These are our ages.
And
these are individual features and their values.
Okay.
And
So
there are
in-
768 of them.
In order to show all these at once, we may have to unpivot or go from what I would consider this to be a, wide view to a long view. Do you understand what I mean by when I say those terms?
I understand them as terms, and I understand that what I'm wanting to see is how we're essentially simulating this age column right here to be a time sequence. And so it's long in that respect, is how I understand what you're saying.
Right. So this unpivot operation, it'll be an automatic thing in Flow soon, but it's not quite there yet. So how this is set up is each row, we're going to pick a cell. Go ahead and show the data set again. We're going to, for each row, we're going to create a dot. And we're going to tell it which of the columns to use to generate that dot. But you want to show multiple columns at the same time, right?
So
you want to show, A1 or B1 and B2 at the same time. So we're going to need to unpivot and make it a long data set. And the quick way to do that right now is probably just copy and paste a couple. So you can't do it here. You'll have to go back to your original data, and that will get us where we're going. So if you'll switch back to your data set and share your screen on the data set.
Give me 2 seconds. So this
What I
data
do,
set is
in
automatically-
R, the function is gather, and you tell it which which columns you want to repeat and which columns you want to make unique values. Are you so I'm just
yes, these are
make sure.
generated in Python and using BERT embedding. So this is a value, this whole thing is an embedding and they're just printed out together. R isn't necessarily there, so
Oh, that's fine. There's
are you
I
saying
don't remember the function in the Python library that
before you even think of that, is what you're saying you need for every single age? I need a value and then the cell name and then just repeat it.
yes. So
Okay.
that's exactly, you said it precisely right. And we could do it with a few copy and paste operations right now if you'd like.
Yeah, I was going to say I can either show how we do it. I'm in Linux, so I have LibreOffice if we want to go that route, or I can jump into my code and just regenerate this data if that's better.
Yeah, your choice. Okay, gather. Joe knows what I'm talking about. Let's gather. Do you know what the similar function is in Python?
There's wide to long and long to wide in Pandas.
Ah, in Pandas. Oh, okay. That might be the solution for you, David.
Let's see here.
We want wide to long. And you're not sharing that window.
Yeah, I know. I'm
Okay.
trying to figure out exactly how to go about this. Okay, quit sharing.
We're definitely in the advanced in advanced topics, which is great. If you guys are game,
right.
the game.
I will share my very fine terminal. There we go. All right, am I in the right environment?
I have to admit to not knowing Pandas, so you guys have to help me out here.
I don't really either. I haven't used it in years.
There we go. And then I think this is the easiest one to use. It's only 10 points. So that we'll just call this what I usually do. Looks lovely. All right.
So what you should do is pd.wide to long with underscores.
Or 2.
Yeah.
And then
datas. And then the two, and then in a vector, the two names of, or is it going to be two? The names of the columns that you, how is this?
I can describe how it's going to look
Is
at
it
the end if you'd like.
The
that.
key and the value.
Yeah, so essentially what we're going to have is a 3-column end result. It'll be the norm
Yeah.
age in row 1. It'll be the number 1 because that's the name of the first column in row 2 or in column 2, and then the value, the 0.40 in column 3. So what is your, I would call it A1 cell becomes a single row, and your A2 cell becomes a single row all the way through the whole data set.
Right. To make things a little bit simpler, I'm going to load this into just a spreadsheet so we can all kind of see through and not have to remember Pandas on our own if we haven't been working in that. So we go there, right there, and not there. That was the wrong place. Right there. There we go. And the tens. Yes, separate by commas.
We're looking forward to how this be a one-click inside flow.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Right, so here we are. So ideally, there should be something that allows me to depivot, pivot table.
There actually isn't a single operation in Excel that I know of anyway.
Exquisite.
So here's the way that I'm going to suggest we just do the brute force. Create a new column between A and B.
What am I doing? There we go. Insert column after. There we go.
Okay, and at the top of that, let's name it. What are these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? What are those?
What is call it?
Index. Great. So you will. No, that's good. Just the one column. That's it. Oh, okay. That works. And then so you're going in for index for 2 through 11. You're going to put 1. Go down.
Or 2 through. Oh, I see what you mean. What you're saying.
Okay, and then value, you're going to copy your D column into C column.
Right.
And now take your norm age column and duplicate that and paste it in at row 12.
And then just do that time by time.
Yeah, and what we're going to do, we're just going to do like 3 of them here, and
That
then
sounds-
you'll be able to. So right, this is 2 all the way down, and grab your E column.
Gonna give me. I'm just gonna jump ahead here. So let's do.
Okay. You got it. Work in any way you would like.
And let's do 4, just so we are dealing with something that is a little more than normal XYZ.
Yeah, it's killing me that we're doing this without house having the one button click done. But hey,
I mean, I don't think it's possible to do it in one operation, is it?
well, what it is we pop up a dialog box, which you have to indicate which cells are repeated and which ones are unique values. So
Okay.
you will have to indicate that and give us that information in the, but otherwise, yeah, it's pretty quick. And we do have a whole system. We're already caching processed data sets in our environment. So the basic structure is already there. Perfect. Now we're going to use this data set just for that one swarm. So what would probably might be the easiest way is to, well, let's see what happens here.
Right.
You only have the one swarm now that I think of it.
Let's go ahead and delete that swarm. I don't want it anymore. I want to add a new swarm. And my new swarm is to be uploaded. It's going to be from
Now
there.
you can re-upload into the same swarm or over the same data set, and it should be fine, but it can get a little confusing.
It crashed on me when I did that earlier. It worked in the end, but it's stopped moving and I had to refresh and then it worked.
Okay, well, we're trying.
Yeah.
Basically, the problem is that it's trying to find references to columns that no longer exist, and we've tried to build it out so that works.
It also did the unexpected but useful thing of I had multiple swarms using the same data set, and it updated all of them with the new data file.
Great.
It's a little bit closer to what we're looking for.
So with this view, because of the number of data points, I would definitely up the size of the dots so we can see what we're working with a little bit.
So that is scanning, scanning, scanning. Oh, size. Maybe even bigger. Sure.
Right. There you go. Now, there's a couple of ways we can work with this, and I'm not sure what's meaningful. One of the things I know you want these things to animate in.
They don't necessarily animate in, but the idea is to be able to traverse this norm age axis and then see how, well, we went away, hold up, and then zoom out, and then see how these values change.
Okay. So first of all, one of the things you just did is you zoomed back. Let's get used to setting the camera. We're gonna do a little bit of that. So set the camera on this view. So the reset puts the camera at facing 000 and puts it, I think it's 2 meters away from you. So you're right. Now you set the camera. If we go to step 2, we're going to go through some of the basic things here and come back to your data set in a minute. Like here in step 2, do you see that no.
I know. I was going to ask, is there a way to delete steps and then just reduplicate the step I'm in? Because these two in the second and third step were from previous data that we've already deleted. So
yes, that's a great way. Good question. So steps details is the way that you can actually manipulate the steps in this way. So next to each step, there is a delete button on the right-hand side of each step, and you can select those.
Oh, step 1. Ah, I see them. Is that the right one? I think so. Nice. Okay. And then go here.
And as long as we were there, I'll also mention that this is a place we can reorder the steps by dragging. I know you only have one now, but dragging the little movement icon right in front of the 1, you can drag steps between reorder things.
There we go. Now we're duplicated.
That's correct. So essentially what duplicate does is it just keeps the visibility on for that step, right? You're not really duplicating a bunch of objects.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me how you think you might want to change this for the next step.
Yep. So the idea at this point would probably be to reorient right here and then turn off this particular axis or this axis and then see how these individual values change as we go on. So we only have 4 values. We can already kind of see just by eyeballing, they cluster a little bit. So as age goes this direction, I would like to see how each of these clusters change over time.
Okay, you'll do those with multiple steps at this point. And so the first thing you want to do, go ahead and you want it to look down the axis. So we're going to set the camera here to be looking down that axis the way you just described.
Orient that way and then hit set.
Yes. And just so you understand clearly what's going on there, if you'll use the arrow buttons, you can see what happens, right? We'll animate between the different perspectives there.
And then
so what I think I heard you say is, yes, you want to turn off the depth axis. So you can just click the checkbox and
depth axis
width axis. You're right.
There we go.
And then I think you wanted to show 1 age at a time. Was that correct?
Right.
Okay. So if you scroll down, you're going to get to a filter. And those filters, I'm going to see if you can kind of figure out how to do it on your own here.
New filter. Try that. Don't want to do greater than. Don't want to do any of that. Delete that one. Logic, no.
Okay, so the the index, I believe, you want to show one index at a time, was that correct? Or one age at a time?
Index is the feature I want to show, and we have 4 features, so I want to see all 4 features at once. The values are probably what I want. Like I want to see the individual values for all 4 features at once.
Okay, so this filter is to take things out. You're going to
Yeah.
filter out something. So I think norm age is what, let's try this. Norm age. And I don't remember the range of your ages.
0 to 0. 3.
Okay, so go ahead and start experiment with some values there to see what happens.
I see what you're doing. So the idea is to create a discrete distribution out of what I have. That should be. Eventually, they should all disappear if I just keep going.
Right.
Oh, that's greater than. Sorry, I goofed. Less than. There we go. Less than. Wait a minute. So I want less than 0.1. No one. Okay.
What about less than 0.1?
That shouldn't be right.
You know your data. It's definitely appearing and disappearing based on the values here. So it just has to do with your range. And I'll also just mention that there is a is between if you wanted to get 2 numbers, 2 ranges in between 2 sets of numbers. But you are showing, looks like you are showing 1 data point now if it's less than 0.1.
Yeah, so I think
norm age.
Yeah, I think the ideal thing in this particular data set would be to convert the ages to some kind of discrete identifier and then filter based on the identifier.
Great. So, and the way that works is if your discrete identifier is a column, then it will say is contains or doesn't contain instead of is less than. So you can do based on the type of data, you can either do, categorical filtering, or you can do numeric filtering, of course.
And then is there any way to change the, let's change the dot colors. There we go. Scheme green, let's go with color scheme based on the column of the index. Let's change that to 12 color. No, that's not very distinctive. How about new neon? Okay, great. Then let's just try doing this again. So go ahead and then duplicate. And then this is what has to change. So if I do 2, I get too many points. So I probably have keep my decimal.
Yeah, there you go. So this is where you probably want to do the is between 2 values if you want these to be discrete.
So 0.1 and 0.2. Let's go a little bit smaller. So I'm going to file a bug report. Quit deleting my decimal.
Yeah, it sounds good.
It has been deleting my decimals too.
Yeah, it does an update to the scene and reformats the thing. Sorry about that. Yeah, got to fix it. Okay, so, oh, look at that. They're moving around.
The way they're supposed to. Let's just try and do one more, and then I'll turn. We only have like 5 minutes, so then I'll release. In fact, I already know what's going on, so I don't mind releasing if Joe wants to talk.
Super. Well, there was a couple of interesting things there. Obviously, we appreciate that we have a few more things to make this easier for different kinds of data. And that unpivot is one that is well known to us and on our very short list to solve. I would expect it probably not next week, but maybe 2 weeks we'll have the unpivot. So thank you for your patience as we keep adding core features to make this as usable as possible. Joe, the floor is yours.
Hi, what's up? So is this where I just like sing or something? No, I don't really have anything interesting to contribute because I did everything last time, and I've just been in basically meetings since Tuesday. So I don't have anything. I've been exploring the. I'll just share my screen because I have the floor. So we'll just go from there. So I've been exploring a map. Here it is. Here's my map. Again, of carbon emissions. But the biggest issue that I'm encountering is that I can't, when I like apply a filter, for instance, for a specific year, it doesn't work. So I have up between 1990 and 2019 here. So if I do greater than 2018, for instance,
it's just not happy. And that is we have a big rev to years and times that will be in a push tonight. We actually have a big push tonight, so it could be
great.
that will help. The way
And
this
also,
is going, the
ahead.
way this will work when you wake up in the morning is that you can format the data. And here, let me show you this real quick. So scroll up on or click maybe your data source. If you'll go three dots, data source, there will be a new button here, which will be called Format Data. And in that, you'll be able to say, this column is a date, this column is a category, this column is a number. We guess, in the version you're seeing right now, we guess on what those should be. And we have discovered that we are only able to guess 90% of the time. And you should be able to override that and say, these 4-digit numbers are actually years, or these 4-digit numbers which look like years are actually just numeric values, or even categories. Maybe they're SKU numbers, product IDs, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was struggling with that earlier. Like I wanted to do annual carbon dioxide emissions per capita because I added that in to the files this last time, and it thinks it's a text value, even though it's all numerical values in the file. So
okay, that's a little interesting. So I'm going to have you show us your data set there real quick, and let's scan it to see why it thinks that those are SKUs.
sure.
So
there are
there are
like 23,000 rows in here. So I'm just going to share it in Excel.
Okay.
Because then that might be a little bit easier.
So another thing which is not in release tonight, but probably a week or so out, is being able to let you tell us what NA means. And for today, what I'm going to suggest you do is to delete out all the NAs from your data set and have those be blank cells.
So for this column in particular, I do have only blank cells instead of NA, because I did like an if error type situation when I did the field. What's happening actually, now that I look at the data, is that there are like some negative values for 3 of the rows for whatever reason. So because there's like a negative sign in my file, that's why it's interpreting it as a text field. So it's not Flow's fault, it's my fault.
Well, no. Oh, you have a dash to mean your NA?
No, there's like a character version of a dash for negative.
Negative numbers are fine.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on, but it's reading differently. So
okay.
Anyway.
If you're comfortable with this, do you want to share this with me? And I'll use it as my one of my test files as we do the new push tonight.
Sure.
Click the share button.
Oh, yep, that makes sense. Okay.
And share privately. And just username, if you do lowercase Jason in the username, that will get it to me.
That's it.
Well, click the edit button if that's okay, and then share.
Perfect.
And great, you can see, you get a list of all the people who have shared it. If that, as long as I've got you, if that person was not in Flow yet, it would show up as a pending access, and that person would then get to register and then they'd be able to see it.
Okay, perfect. Cool. Well, we're at time, so.
Super cool. And I think, yeah, they're telling us that we're gonna jump back into the main session. Yeah, that was fun. We answered a lot of kind of good corner cases, and each time I do this, I learn from you guys, and It's a good thing I'm addressing some of your issues, and the other ones we'll get to keep making it easier to use.
Sounds good.
I'll see you back in the main room.
Sure.
The pandas have returned.
All right, cool. So yeah, that's about it. Anything to share back with the group, Jason, from your all's group?
Just the overview is that we actually didn't work with your data set at all. Everybody had their own data sets and had questions on their own flows. So we did some unpivoting. We dealt with an issue where the dates weren't showing up as dates. And so that's a fix that's going in the push we'll do tonight. So thanks for the patience there. And also otherwise, looks like everybody's really kind of got this figured out and doing good stuff. So that's pretty exciting.
So my team, don't get intimidated. He's just making all that up to make you guys feel like you're not going to win the competition. And, that's just kidding. No, that's awesome. Really good to hear that people are diving in. And yeah, our group's picking it up. We haven't found the perfect data set yet, but we did work on this mapped one. And I think we're experimenting with different views. So I think that's about it. So thank you guys so much for coming for another hour here, and we will see you on Tuesday. And don't be strangers, feel free to reach out if you need help with finding data, anything like that. We are here for you.
And I'll just reiterate, my internet has glitched, so hopefully it's coming back. I'll reiterate that I'm totally available. Drop me a note at jason@flow.gl, whether you're on my team or not, and I'll spend at least 15 minutes with you to see your data set and answer any questions. And I have had some of the morning session people do this, so don't feel shy. I'm serious. It's really good for me to learn and to help you and see how wildly successful we can make each one of you. That's how we are trying to build something meaningful in the world. So please get in touch and I'll spend time with you.
Awesome.
All right. Well, have a
Thank
good
you all.
weekend, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you soon.